We welcome Scenic artist Timmy Britt to talk about his work at Universal Orlando and his new book, Extraordinary Everyday Magic. This is episode 471 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. We are back with another book to talk about.
Woohoo!
As we did 2 weeks ago. So joining me is Tracy.
Hello.
And Michelle.
Hello, hello.
And Chris.
Hello.
And our two special guests. I will say two.
Yes.
Orlando Scenic artist, Mr. Timmy Britt. Timmy, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a big thrill. I couldn't wait to get here, so I'm really glad to be here.
Cool. And of course, listening intently in the background is his co-writer, Catherine Bell. Hi, Catherine.
Hi. Thanks for having us on.
You're welcome.
I want to say something real quick. So your wife has a lovely voice.
Everybody
Michelle's
says
voice
that.
is amazing and magical. And then Christopher's voice knocked me off my chair. So I can see why you guys did this, man. This is really nice, man. It's really cool. I have to sing, like, it's just so embarrassing because I can't sing at all. But I'll go and I'll find songs just to get my voice stronger. Because, I'm screaming over job sites and singing all that stuff. And I do podcast after podcast. And so I want to try to keep, not so much, like I don't want to be able to sing, but I'd like to have a pretty voice. Like you guys will have some pretty voices.
No, you're the first person that's ever
you
said
do.
that.
Like, seriously. And that
That's the
intro,
first compliment
like,
we've ever gotten like that.
I know,
no,
wow.
it's not. You better stop it. Really? Is it true?
Yes.
No, come on. Well, take it. I mean it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're all so much better looking than I thought you would be.
For those listening, we've all got our
There
cameras
you have
off,
it,
to be
folks.
fair.
You heard it from
All
the
right,
man
so can I
himself.
tell you a couple things about Universal that I never told anyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like to hear that?
Sure.
Okay. So, and since you guys know so much about it, you can help me because I go in at different times, like 3 a.m, 1 a.m. It's a whole different park then. It's really, really dark. So what's that part? I just called it Agrabah, but there's a part where there's a giant foot, man. And it's like like you go in, it's like this circle and you go into this theater of the show. I've never been on it, but I had to paint all the rocks around that foot.
Awesome.
Wow.
There's a giant foot, like it used to be part of a giant statue.
So that
and it broke.
is... Yep, that is in the Lost Continent in
Poseidon's
Anne's Adventures, Poseidon's Fury. It's currently closed at the moment.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
You guys are the best at this.
It's awesome.
So I go in with my team now, and you know how narrow those walkways are.
Yeah.
Like they're all set for rain to run one way, and there's a wall here and a bench there. But if you ever get a chance to look and walk and just take a chance to take 5 minutes to just look at your surroundings, you'll notice that every path is just wide enough for the giant wheels of a lift that can take you 185 feet in the air. Just barely. So you have to back up with it and then make a little bit of a turn and back up and make a little bit of a turn to make some of the turns. But you're really in tight and it's in the middle of the night. So the only lights you have are the lights you really bring with you. So we'd have to bring in generators and lights just to light up the little areas so that we could safely wheel and not crack any of the concrete or destroy anything along the way. Well, getting to do that after a while, you get pretty good at it. You get good at anything you do. But one night we had to do the area around that foot. Now I never got to the foot, and we had the lift. We could have actually went over the wall, and there's a big moat there, I think. Yep. And the foot is so cool. But thank you, Christopher. So in the daytime, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But at night, it's real ghostly. So when the moon comes down on that big foot, parts of it light up that you don't get to see during the day. Cool. So I'm trying to drive this thing and I can't take my eyes off this foot. And I'm not paying attention. And I just nicked, like if you see there's the wall across from that foot has all these really cool things. And it was like my first day and I was just lost in all of it. And I just took the lift and I spun it and I just nicked the part across from it that is like a restaurant. And it's really ornate and really beautiful. And so, of course, we're throwing like quick concrete patch on it, letting it dry, blending in the colors. And now it just looks like a piece of theming, like it's cracked a little bit. But that was like the worst thing I've ever done, really, in any of these jobs. And I never told anybody about it because it messed up and I took a piece out. But the truth is, being there and seeing it from those heights at night is really cool.
I can imagine.
And I promise you, if they could open it up to the guests, That's just to walk around and drink wine. You don't go on any of the rides, but just to see the park.
Said this.
Like that would be a really sold.
Yes.
That would be a really cool thing to do. And so most of my career has been finding these little cool places that other people don't get there. And you get this moment where you're like, is this like really happening? Like seriously, I was inside the Popeye ride. There's a cave and there's a giant octopus. And one of the first jobs I had to do is once they drained it out and sent all that water into the lake, they sent me in this cave. And I promised somebody I wouldn't talk about it till I was on their podcast. But I just want to tell you, when there's 8 arms and you're already 8 feet down because the water's gone, so now you're even lowered at it and you don't have any light and there's spotlights here and there. And they say, welcome to Scenic Art. Go paint that octopus. You're a little terrified, man. Because it's got an eye. I'm not kidding you. The eye of this thing is the size of like a dinner plate.
Wow.
And when you have to use a flashlight on your helmet, like you don't get to really see it till you climb up between the tentacles and you can see the rays of light going between them because you have 3 like spotlights set up. So with your flashlight, you have to figure out what color it is, but that's when you get to see the texture of the skin. And then you look around, you're so high up and you're like, whoa, this is really, you have that moment where like, wow, this is one of those jobs that, you know, I'll never forget. You know, it's one of those places that most people don't get to find themselves.
Yeah.
Now they drain that track out once or twice a year, depending on the season and the algae in the water, because it will rip off the paint with all that movement.
Yeah.
If it was a steady body of water, like a lake or something, it would sit still and not be so bad. But this is like torrential, like, you know, White River Rapids. Yeah. So that water moves and someone else would come in and paint all that stuff from there down. But the props, the scenery and the stalactites and stuff, yeah, that's all scenic artists. So every like 5 years, they'll refurb that stuff. And just as I got there on that job, they're like, you're one of the artists. Come on, man, you're doing this. Now, they've been around that. I never was. I walk in this cave. I see all these tentacles. I never even rode the ride before. There's that. And then one other memory I want to tell you about, something that I never told anybody before. I was working on Popeye again, but at another part. And there's this one prop. It's like a crate with 3 skunks in it.
Yes.
Right? Doesn't seem like much.
Yeah.
Right. But at night, it has to run through its cycles. So that means if you're painting in that area, and we did all the fences and everything to make them all look really fun. But every like 8 minutes, like clockwork, every 8 minutes, you hear these 3 skunks. Now, nothing else is turned on. So all you hear is these 3 skunks. And it's all night long, for 8 hours, for 2 days, 3 days, 5 days a week. You come back the next week, and there they are again. So in the daytime, I've gone through there. And just from having those like 3 weeks of hearing that same, it's a really high-pitched cackle of these skunks. It's brutal. I'll walk through in the day when there's pageants and superheroes and balloons and fireworks and all the noise, but all I still hear is in the daytime are those 3 squirrels. And if you could just be there with me and see, like, that's part of the little things that happen other than the art and the painting. There's the surroundings of Universal that is just really cool. You guys had this thing, you said, Universal Studios is, and then pick 3 words.
Yes.
So me and Catherine all day long I've been working on it. I think I got my 3.
Okay.
So when you're ready in the show to ask, just let me know.
It's
Yeah.
right at the end. That's how we close it out.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Now, I think this is the perfect time. So, Timmy, for our listeners who may not know who you are, can you give everyone just a brief rundown of what it is you do?
Okay, so I grew up in Philadelphia, and I always loved art, but my dad said you can't make it as an artist. So I had to hide my art career. I had to simultaneously go to engineering school for my father and then sneak real quick and go to art school, where I got a scholarship.
Wow.
And so once those 2 were done, then I said, well, I felt like I didn't give art everything. I went for 4 more years of figure drawing. So for me, it was always about art. And then what do I do with it? My dad's telling me I can. I'm like, teens and late teens and early 20s, and it's getting better and better, but he doesn't see it. He doesn't get it. He thinks I'm going to hug trees and take drugs and be this like horrible person, and beg for food. And he just saw the worst side of it. And I didn't know anything about life to say no, because I'm living in Philadelphia, where it is the mural capital of the world. It has 185 paintings on walls in every square mile. That's a lot of murals. Yeah. So for me, I saw it everywhere. And I'm going to some of the greatest art schools, in the country. And Philadelphia is a great art town. So I had a different kind of life, and it led me to just doing murals for friends and stuff. And then I got kind of popular with it. But I also kept my hands in building system engineering so I could understand. Like I always thought, well, if I ever was an Imagineer, I'd have to know this anyway. You have to have engineering and you have to have art. And so I was right on the path of it. Now that's not the case. Now, if you're just really good at something and you show an aptitude for it, you are a master of that subject, and they could make you an Imagineer if they chose to.
Yeah.
So it's all up to Disney, of course, but those rules about engineering and art, that's how it started. Walt got the engineers and he got the artists, and the engineers are like, but it has to have air conditioning. And the artists are like, but we can't show the condenser unit, and the engineers are going, yeah, but what about when people have to go to the bathroom? And then the artists are going, yeah, but that kills the story, And so Walt said, that's that. You two are going to and he bunked them together, kind of put them together, made them kind of figure out what each other needed and solve each other's problems while creating something for the whole world. And that's how Imagineering was kind of born. His first 3 Imagineers, I think, he had like 9 or 10 that he first picked. And if you do the research, you'll find it out.
Yeah, the 9 old men.
The first 3, well, they were all animators. He took 3 of them and made them Imagineers, and that's the difference. An animator is someone who is really adept at drawing the characters or bringing life to just take a piece of paper and a pencil and create a character and give them life. And it's great. It's amazing. It's so much fun. An Imagineer and a Universal, they call them creative. Yeah, they build the attraction. So they'll take that flat 2D picture, turn it into a 3D model, and then go build it. But then you're adding in like a hologram, right? So now it's all about holograms and movie screens and mixing them along with real life. Like the rides are really becoming like almost all 5 senses, almost your 6 senses starting to wake up because you're completely immersed now. So now with the rides doing all that, the role of the scenic artist and the paint supervisor or creative is to get that feel, that ambiance, that nuance. And once you get that, the story that you tell inside those walls, well, the guest could be a part of it or not. They could just watch. But somehow there's always something, a story being told. Like I would teach my students, every single rock has at least 5 colors. If I see your rock and it only has 2 colors, you're not finished. You have 3 more colors to add. And you may say, well, rocks are gray or rocks are brown. Well, they're not. You have to pick one up and actually look at it, and you'll see what it takes to make a rock. So the students are learning this, and sometimes they go too far. Well, how about 11 colors? I'm like, all right, now you're getting crazy. But the truth is, somewhere in there is a nice happy blend. And I would tell them, stick to odd numbers. If it's a rock, you try to get 5 colors, but don't ever put 4, because then somewhere you'll look at it and you'll see a balance. You'll see 2 and 2. No matter how you look at it, it'll be a diamond or a square, but you'll see the colors will show. But if you put 3, well, now you have some movement because it could go one way or the other. And that's just a rule kind of in theming composition, is try to think in odd numbers and try to think in small, medium, and large. Because that's 1, 2, 3. So it's odd numbers. But when you compose like that, is this boring you guys? I'm so sorry.
No, it's fascinating.
No. Remember, we're theme park nerds.
Yeah, totally.
Well, this is the part that you don't get usually. You get the ride and you get the history, but you don't get what the artist has to think and see before you ever see it. So like we'll carve a wall that has the plaster peeled off so you can see the bricks underneath. Well, what you guys don't realize is there's no bricks under the rest of the part of the wall. We only carve the part where it's peeled away. But that takes an elevation of 1/4 inch of wet cement, and then the wall, the plaster above it, is another 1/4 inch. So we'd actually have to have a 1/2 inch of cement, so like we can remove the parts that we need to put the bricks. Then you say, well, why did you put the bricks there and not there? And then when you stand back, I can say, you see the movement. There's this small section of bricks. There's a large section over here. And then there's a medium section over here. And then you're like, oh, I see that. And then I'll say, and you see how we took these really rich, warm colors over here in the bricks, but then we splashed them with that white background of the plaster. That's contrast. So that'll grab your eye and pull it over here because I want you to really see this fountain over here. But I want to lead you there one step at a time. And the whole time your brain is watching this and moving this way and your eyes are doing this. You just don't know it's happening until somebody describes to you how your vision works and how colors work. When you learn that, then you start to look at things with more like appreciation. But that's when the story gets great, because now that you're on my side and you get it, then I can take you further and further. And you start to be like, wow, I just thought this was about Harry Potter. Like, no. This is about so much more. Yeah. So when you start to see things, well, Timmy, those windows up there, they look like they're 200 feet in the air. Yeah, but they're really only 6 inches.
Yes.
So they look like it's a 3-foot window, but we only made it 6 inches that high. Like, so we're trying to carve with our hand in these little places that on the ground look like they're giant and you could stand from head to toe. So the little secrets, forced perspective and things like that are everywhere.
Yeah.
And we don't get to do it so the guests watch. So when do we get to do it? When the guests don't watch, like a big project like Hagrid's, we had, some scrim and some walls to protect most of us. But some projects like Fast and Furious were inside, so people didn't see.
Yeah.
But still, we had to do the outside of that wall project. It's funny, too, because that wall lines right up against the edge of Diagon Alley, and I don't know if the guests see it. But because the train goes past Fast and Furious, that wall that is exactly opposite of Diagon Alley, here it is all these years later. And when I tell you I did about 1,000 bricks a day, in Diagon Alley till we got to 1 million. Like we did 1 million bricks and there was just 4 of us.
Wow.
1 million bricks. Each brick had 7 layers. I'm not kidding you guys. This was hard work.
Oh, I bet.
So we finished it. We won awards. We walk away. The world loves it. Years later, I've already become an Imagineer. I've done Pandora. This company calls me for Universal and says, is there any way you can work on Fast and Furious? We really need somebody. I'm like, I need a break. And they're like, come on, we need you. I'm like, no, I don't want to. They're like, we're going to throw money at you. And I said, okay. Next thing you know, I'm on Fast and Furious. Well, we get all done the job, and it's months and months. Like Fast and Furious took about 2 years, just about 2 years to pull it off. And it is just a dark car ride. You're like, what did you do here? But if those lights ever go on and that ride goes down and you have to get escorted through, you're going to see some of the coolest things you ever saw. It's the streets of San Francisco. Indoors, but at night. So there's telephone poles, there's bird poop, there's rust on the fire escapes. We were using kitty litter, right? Because it's indoors. So you put kitty litter with glue. I know, wait, hear me out. You put kitty litter with the glue and you mix it up with your paint. You make like this like oatmeal type thing.
Okay.
All of that just to get like a little bit of like if you took a paint star stick and just took the end of it and stuck it in this little concoction, then you can smear it at the bottom of a window that was supposed to be metal. And after you paint it, when it dries and hardens and becomes hard, I dare any one of you to walk up to it and look at it and touch it. You can kiss it if you want to. It looks exactly like rust that is decayed and metal that has crumbled and fallen apart.
So cool.
So when you know your colors and you know your materials, you can take everyday things that will last, because kitty litter is really a lot of sand anyway in aggregate. So when you mix it in and surround it with glue, industrial glue now that's going to be there forever.
Yeah.
When it hardens, it has this real crunchy look to it.
Wow.
And we would put that at the bottom of our drips. So there's a little tip that scenic artists would know and say, yeah, you could do this and do that. But to regular people that go through, they don't get to see it. So anyway, we finished Fast and Furious and it's this glorious thing. And yay! And by the time I got there, they're like, we're out of time, out of money, and we're nowhere further. I'm like, okay, well, who's my team? And they said, well, great. We have these people. You'll meet them tomorrow. I show up. One girl used to dive into dumpsters and find like pieces of old furniture and make art out of it. Another girl was a makeup artist. The other guy was fantastic and actually turned out to be a great scenic artist. And he was really, really skinny. So I worried about him some days on windy days. He was really, really little. But man, he could paint. I'm not kidding you. He'd get in that lift. He'd go up. I'm not kidding you. I'm glad you're laughing. And then like we had to make this concrete look on drywall. So you take drywall and it's like a 4-color process with stippling and just different techniques to make it look like old concrete. So what I'm saying is they just grabbed whoever they could, man, and said, here's your team. Now I know scenic artists all over Florida, but they were doing Volcano Bay or they were doing like the finishing touches on Pandora where they didn't need me anymore. Now it's just like, fluff up these flowers and hang the t-shirts. That's all. Yeah. So I got a chance to have a break and I didn't get it because I had to do Fast and Furious and there was no artists available. So they scoured the country to find this group of ragtag artists. But in it was one girl named Veronica and she was just miraculous. She was a Marine and a nurse and a freelance artist. And when she got a hold of Scenic, she took to it like a duck to water. So I had her. And then as the other jobs finished, Adirondack would send me over other artists to meet. Eric was the art director for Universal at the time who ran that, and we pulled it off. But we get it all done, and I'm done now. I just finished Pandora. I just finished Volcano Bay for Universal, and now I just finished Fast and Furious. I'm ready for like a good month where I can just sit by the pool and forget about paint, you know?
Yeah.
And they say, Timmy, there's this one wall we want you to see. And don't they take me outside to the outside exterior wall. across from Diagon Alley, and they say, we're thinking this whole wall should be the same bricks. Now, I told you I painted 1 million bricks with these guys, 7 colors. I never wanted to paint another one. Then my career took me all these great places, all the way back again to doing those bricks with the 7 colors. So I said, is there any way you can have someone else do that? And they said, yeah. So it was great. I went back one day later and saw some of my old team from Diagon Alley that was doing other things while we were doing the bricks, going ahead with them 7 steps, rolling in the powder color, rolling in the venison, rolling in, the different light colors that we have for us. So they're proprietary, but there's a couple of them. But that was really, really cool. So there's some things that Universal Park people don't get to really hear much, and I swear every word of it's true. I didn't know where Men in Black was, but I was very honest about it. I thought that was all part of it because I did Diagon Alley. I never saw the other side of Fear Factor, so that must be where it's at.
Yeah,
because I've been through Springfield many times. So it must be very small then. It must not be a big ride.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed it.
It's themed to the World Expo, like the 1964 World Expo, with the two sort of, if you've seen the film.
That's what I see backstage.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when I see that from backstage, I think I'm closer to Fast and Furious than I am because I'm on the other side of it that the guests can't go. So when I see it from there, I put it together as all part of the same thing.
Yeah.
And I thought they kept those things because of the World's Fair and, they're kind of iconic. So, okay, cool.
Yeah.
See that? I learned something. Yay! I'm glad you're laughing.
So getting to work on one of the biggest lands in the world and one of the greatest rides in the world, not just our humble opinion, but everybody's, who's been there. Now, that must have been absolutely incredible. But also, knowing how much J.K. Rowling is a stickler for details, that must have come with a lot of pressure. How did you manage to live up to that standard?
And that was like my first real scenic job to show the people in Florida that I could paint, because when you're like Lon Smart and you're an artist and an animator, you're not painting much. You might be painting at your desk, but it's a whole different paint. Yeah. This is latex paint out on carved concrete in the sun.
Yes.
So to do it, the conditions are brutal to begin with. Like the pavement isn't down for the guests yet. It's dirt. Man, and I'm carrying 5 gallons in each hand to carry.
Felt every walk.
So
every
knowing
step
that
of
is
walk.
already tough.
Yes.
Then the art directors from the movies would come in.
Yes.
Who worked for J.K. Rowling, so she had a big hand in the look, the feel, the ambiance, just the understanding, the mood of Harry Potter. And man, did she knock it out of the park! So with that kind of success, you don't mess with it.
No.
Like if it works, then you stay with it. So then these art directors would come in. And now that's great. They did that on sets, This is something that the guests have to be able to walk up and touch and feel and experience. So you'd think there'd be a lot of difference. Well, there was one difference. The sky above is Florida and not, that spooky English, countryside. So, but at night it was cool. And there's plenty of cloudy days in Florida. Believe it or not, there's a lot of rain in Florida. It's a sunshine state, but every day it rains for 20 minutes. And with that comes the clouded storm. So it does get really, really Englandy. I don't know. That's not a word, but I'm making it up.
That's allowable.
Which I love England. I've been to your country. I love it. I want to die there. Oh, God save the Queen. I swear, I love your country. So,
well, Chris is in Florida, so he knows exactly what the weather's like.
Yeah.
And Michelle, where are you at?
I am in South Carolina.
Okay. So you have nice weather there. That's really nice there. But it's not hot.
It's pretty much like Florida. Oh, yes,
it is. But Florida has that. Well, yeah, I guess you do.
It's not as humid as Florida, but it's hot.
Florida's just nonstop, though.
Yeah.
Like up in South Carolina, you get some breaks. You get a little bit of a fall, maybe. Down in Florida, there is hot and then ultra hot. So you have to be prepared for that. There's no break from it. Like the rain is hot. The stairs are hot. The handle of your car is hot. The glasses on your head get hot.
Yeah.
The railing that you're reaching for gets hot. Everything's hot and reflective of sun. So that part gets really hot. But anyway, J.K. Rowling, the original question was, should be a stickler. So, okay. So the short version is, oh my God, yeah, she is. Like she had her art directors give us, I'm not kidding you, like 3 hours on the way an owl will poop and how the poop will land when it's flying, where the poop will land if it's just sitting. I'm not kidding you. If you want to know about owl poop, I'm your guy. So when they poop, they poop it all at once. So it's not just poop, but it's also, this is disgusting, but they pee as well.
Yeah.
So the white area would be most of the pee, the liquid. And that little green, dark, ugly green color in the middle, That's the poop.
Yep.
But it all comes out at once. They just let it go. They just drop trough. But when you have hundreds of owls delivering messages to little wizards, they don't show all that in the movie.
No.
But here at Diagon Alley, there's perches for all these owls that we have to build. And you can't just paint them and then leave them as pretty perches. No. We had to peel back the wood. And like some owls would sit there and maybe nip at a couple bugs. So there'd be pieces of the wood missing. But then the poop. Oh, my God. And so here in Alan Gilmore, who's this amazing creative genius who's worked with JK for years, sit down and show us movies of owls and poop was just one of those moments where, like, is this really my job? Am I doing this today? Like, how do you go get a sandwich after that at lunch? And not talk about it? Like, you're putting like not Russian, but the dressing, like ranch. You're putting ranch dressing.
I was going to suggest clam chowder for lunch.
You can't not make that connection.
No.
So it was really funny. But then we went ahead. And if you go to Diagon Alley and you find the purchase for the owls, you look around, you'll swear to God the owls pooped all over that. I promise. I'm not trying to make your show gross here. No, but that's one of
that's what I live for.
That's the details that she goes to. She wants poop where the owls are supposed to be. Not just that, but damage in the stories that would happen. Like, let's say there's a shingle missing in one page on a book. Well, we make that and then we take the shingle off. Like, we do it exactly.
That's
so
cool.
to get that, and it was great because Alan is from, I believe he's from England as well.
Scottish. I think he's Scottish, isn't he?
Oh, Scottish. Yeah. Nope, you're right. He is. Well, he has that accent is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So not quite. I'm not trying to offend you. I know.
No,
but
don't be silly.
I'm just a stupid American, so I don't really know the little levels of your accent. I know that you two are very posh.
No, we're not. We are not. Trust me.
Shush.
No.
Last of all.
Don't spoil the illusion. We're posh.
Once again, we'll take it.
Well, he was very posh as well. So when he spoke really cool. And he was so polite. So when he would get angry about stuff, he would just get real quick. Nope, we're going to do it this. And that's it. He'd never get cross. He'd never get angry. Because some people would come up with fancy ideas and he kept it right down the line exactly like JK wanted it. Yeah. So when she finally came to see it, that was amazing because she gave everybody this great like burst of inspiration and motivation. Like, it was really amazing. That was a great moment. And I was covered with paint when she got there, and I couldn't get anywhere near her.
Yeah, absolutely covered from head to toe.
I was choking on my coffee when I was reading that. That was
I have to.
That's one of my favorites.
Wow. If you go under that train trestle and look up, you'll see what just looks like dinge and years of carbon and maybe, candle smoke that would come from candles and things from back that time. But that wasn't easy to put there. We had to spray up, and what goes up,
must come down.
So we're on this lift. Yeah, that was a great. And then he's all shiny white, shaking your hand. Oh, it's like the final insult, but that took place. That was really, really cool. And he's still a friend of mine.
They're good. Yeah.
Because you mentioned something in the book I didn't realize existed, and I've eaten in the Leaky Cauldron, but you mentioned being in the Leaky Cauldron, that when that train goes over the trestle, that there's actually a motion base underneath and it vibrates. I've never noticed that when we've been in there. It goes
through the Leaky Cauldron. It goes right through the waiting queue for the Leaky Cauldron. It might be the part where you leave. I thought you left out the restaurant doors because I've gone in both, so I'm not really sure which is the entrance and exit. But I think you would go in to the queue line first and then get seated, pick out your meal, and then go sit down. Yeah. I mean, pick out your meal and then go sit down. Yeah. But that's the queue line. If you look above your head, there's a trestle that goes right through.
I've never noticed that.
It's fiberglass. It's not a real train. But the sound of it sounds like right out back of your house, man. It sounds like there's a train coming right. So you forget, and it's dark, and you're painting, and you're concentrating, you're thinking about a million other things. Man, I'll never forget that. That's why it's in the book. That was real.
Startled.
I had to walk away for 10 minutes. Like, man, you forget sometimes. I was 10 feet from that dragon when the fire came out. You get that close to something, that's cool. What do you think a train whistle is going to do, or a train going by? You don't think it. You just don't think it. And like the scary, the squeaky monkeys, or the skunks, like every 8 minutes. That was annoying. Yeah. That train trestle goes by on a random track. Like, you don't know when. So there's no way to time it or get ready for it. And that was really cool.
Proud trousers.
It reminded me of painting the water slide at the volcano because you never knew when they were going to turn the water back on. And I'm on the slide in boots and a hard hat and a vest. I got gloves on, 6 kinds of paint all over the place, painting as fast as I could. Painting looking over both shoulders, like not knowing, listening for the sound of water as it climbs, That's what it was like there at Universal with that, because you never knew what the very next thing. You had to try to get in, get your work done, and get out. So that's really cool. I'm glad that this is a great podcast.
Yeah, it's good. It's like one of the things, like, it's such a weird thing, the scenic art, like everything that goes into creating a theme park land now, because the attention to detail, and Disney do it and Universal do it to the nth degree. We're huge Universal fans, and we're such nerds over it. The thing is, like, you're talking about putting owl poop in there that the average guest will never ever see, but to go to that length of detail, to flesh out Diagon Alley, to be what everyone expects it to be, having read the books. And I must say, Timmy, I am very disappointed that you have not read the books and only watched the movies.
Yes, that's your next quest.
Okay, I'm the same way too. Don't worry.
Chris hasn't read that. I've been trying to get Chris to read them for 4 years, and he still hasn't.
If they waited for me to read the books, there would be no Diagon Alley. I promise you.
It was all I could do to get him to read the book, his story as I was writing it.
Okay.
I'm just not like, it's my eyes. I don't really want to look at the words.
Fair enough.
I have great vision for far away, but when you get closer and closer, as I'm 54 now, the letters, they become like little black lines. And so, like JK, God bless her, and I love her. But when you read those books as an adult, for some reason, kids, it doesn't matter. But as an adult, I started to get tripped up with all the long names and how many of them. Oh. So I couldn't keep track of it all. Now in a movie, you say, well, this is Hogwarts and this is this, and you could see it. And so but when you're reading it and it's Professor this and names like I don't know the names. Like, we don't have a lot of Nigels or Hermiones over here or Hagrids. I've never met a Hagrid, a Hermione, or a Nigel over here in America. I haven't. So just the regular characters had funny names. So for me, keeping track of all of that, I lost the story. It wasn't until I saw the movie that it all came together, and I became a huge fan. So it's just a matter of preferring reading or not. If I read something, I want to read a book like mine where it's not so hard to, like I say, this is a store and this is a ball and this is, a cat, where she had like these fantastical names for everything. So that's where I got lost in it. But I'm the fool, because later on, every single book just got better and got more involved and got more fans and just became this amazing. Like my daughter has the nicest collection of every book and has read them all 3 times. Like seriously, there's a lot of Harry Potter went on in my life. For me, like I'd rather paint and learn from the art directors from the movies, what they're going for the feeling of it. As an artist, I wanted to feel when you were scared and feel when you're. So that's my excuse for it. But
that's fine.
I'll let you valid excuse.
Thank you for calling me out on that, man.
It was the first thing, reading that book, that was the first thing that popped. I was like, oh my God, he hasn't read the books. What the hell?
Well, listen, Pandora, okay? Pandora was supposed to be like 3 movies. It was one great cinematic movie. When you saw it in the theaters, you're just like, wow, I didn't know we could do this with CG. I went home and bought the movie, but then I put it in my DVD player, and like half hour into it, I was out cold, and I haven't been able to watch the whole movie since. But you asked me about that park, and I can tell you every leaf, every species, every vine, every rock. I know more about Pandora as if I were one of the Na'vi than from watching the movie.
Fair enough.
So you can't be both. I can't. Exactly. Oh, that's not true. Because every one of my students, they were well-versed, well-read. They knew more about Harry Potter than anyone else. So when I'd be like, oh, we were told to put this, what is this, a griffin? Like, Timmy, that's the special sacred thing of this. And it means that if Harry doesn't get this. And I'm like being educated on the job by my own students. It was a really cool experience.
That's a testament to the detail that you put into the work you do, which is, I think, awesome. I mean, we've said it like many times on this podcast that Hagrid's feels like it was built at the same time as Hogsmeade itself. So again, kudos on doing an amazing job. You must.
The tie-in was really nice. Yeah, I got to tell you the truth. So I learned my lesson at Fast and Furious about building teams, that I want more of a say in who I choose as my team. You thrust a team upon me. We did the best we could, and when we're done, we got everything bought off. We met the budget, and we met the deadline for us, for what I was scoped to do. That's my job. I got it done. But I had to work harder because they couldn't. So I decided, well, if I'm going to build a team for Star Wars now, I'm going to go out and find some really talented people. They're going to work directly under me, and I'll be the Imagineer, and then I'll hire these other people under me, and I'll build this team, and we'll go knock out sections of Star Wars. And that was the plan. And then this company called me and said, we want to hire you and we want you to build a team for a project. And I'm like, I'm kind of already involved in the Star Wars one. And they said, no, it's not in Disney. I said, Universal? And they said, yep. And I said, you got Hagrid's? And they said, yep. And Alan Gilmore said, anybody from the Diagon Alley team that's still around, I want to talk to him. When he found out it was me, he was so happy. Me and Alan hadn't seen each other since all Diagon Alley and Hogwarts and all that was made.
Have you taken a stroll down Diagon Alley and visited Gringotts Bank? Taken a ride through New York with Jimmy Fallon, visited the Truffler Trees in Zeus Landing, or hung out with a real-life Transformer? No? Then what are you waiting for? At Universal Orlando Resort, there truly is an option for everyone. Or if you're leaning a little more towards pixie dust rather than ones and portions, Disney destinations around the globe await your arrival. No matter the adventure, our sponsors have you covered. Be sure to let the experts at Mouse & Muggle Travel Company take care of all your travel needs. Earning the distinction of being an earmarked agency specializing in Disney destinations, as well as becoming one of the first to be named a U Preferred agency with Universal Parks and Resorts Vacations. Mouse & Muggle Travel Company will ensure you receive top-rate customized service. Just visit mouseandmuggle.com to fill out a non-obligation quote request, or send your request to info@mouseandmuggle.com. Their team can take care of you no matter where in the world you go. With a flick of their wand and a little bit of pixie dust, the process will be so seamless, some might even say it's simply magical.
So there's the break, when Dueling Dragons went to the Other Dragon, a ride for Harry Potter, it was kind of a throw-in thing. And because that one person got hurt, they had to really time the dragons differently. And it was on its way out.
It lost
a lot. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. I remember being back painting the wall for just the train station to come to Hogwarts, but Dueling Dragons was right there. So we had to go in the middle of the night. I remember I told you about the little paths.
Yeah.
And take a giant lift and go under the Dueling Dragon track and around it and through it. And there was a swamp there. Like that was the whole thing. So we had to put boards down over the swamp to get to the part where we could get to paint that wall. And in the middle of the night and get it all out. So the guests come the next day and they don't know you're there. But suddenly now this whole wall looks real, it's really cool. But I never thought then that I would be back again. Now here all these years later, they let me pick my own team. So now I went to Lonnie Smart's class. He also was given a class after hours where different artists from Disney would come in and draw. And I was blown away. These two artists in particular, Meg and Robin, were there. All right, so Fast and Furious, they threw together this ragtag team because there's nobody available. For Star Wars, I got to pick a team. But when they told me it was for Hagrid's, I had already told all my team we were going to pick these colors and use this and do this for Star Wars. So I had to go like one day, and I'm thinking, man, I was doing Hagrid's. I did every other part of Harry Potter. I wanted to be a part of the fifth and final piece of it, so that the whole Harry Potter Wizarding World, I had some real important part of it. And now I got to run the show for Hagrid. So I wanted it. It was financially right.
Yes.
Disney had enough Imagineers running around. Universal didn't have anything but Alan Gilmore and a couple other people that were really talented, but they had never done it before. I knew all the colors. I knew the feel. I knew the look. I've already won awards for Diagon Alley. So when they knew I was available, they said, would you please come do this for me? We'll let you pick your own team, whatever. So I got to pick my own team. So Hagrid's for me was the first chance I got to really go out into society and find like 14 strangers who never did it before. I know that doesn't say much, but they were fantastic artists. I could see that. I got to feel their heart. And I didn't tell them who I was. Well, when I went to them and said, I think Star Wars is going to take maybe 4 more years. This other project I have in mind for us might only take 2.5. If you do the one with me, when it's over, let's just go over to Star Wars and we can work on that too and put the finishing touches on it. So they're freaking out. Mm-hmm. So like, well, what's the project? And I said, I don't know how you feel about it, but they're taking down the Dueling Dragons and they're putting in Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure. And they were all so upset about the Dueling Dragons going down because these are all like kids in their 20s. So for them, they like kind of grew up with that roller coaster. But when I told them that we were going to put in Hagrid's, they started lifting up their shirts and they had Harry Potter tattoos.
Awesome.
All my artists were diehard Harry Potter fans. And they started freaking out and they were so happy. And then when I found out they knew more about Harry Potter than me, we were set. So now I had my team, and true to fashion, we finished Hagrid's. They won awards. They got to go ride it with all the Muggles and listen to all their, because I told them, I said, 2 things are going to happen. One day you're going to come back here and you're going to cry because you'll be so proud of yourself when you walk with the guests who are sitting to see it for the first time and hear all their oohs and ahs and the things they say. And you just keep your mouth shut and go through the queue, go through the ride. Well, I got a picture later of my 3 lead artists crying their eyes out as they got off of it with all the guests. And then they went on the Winds roller coaster of 2019. They won the first award. And they did the biggest mural on this side of the Mississippi, on that side of the Mississippi, now that I'm in Texas. So that was really great. And then they got to go and finish Star Wars. And they never did it before. Now they're all art directors in their own right.
Awesome.
Hiring teams, moving up the ladder, having great lives. So that was really special for me.
Hagrid's adds so much more to Hogsmeade. I love Hogsmeade is my favorite Harry Potter area. I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd. You talk about Harry Potter tattoos. I have the Dark Mark. That's how much of a nerd I am.
Oh my God.
Right? So I love.
Oh my God. I'm getting the chills from talking to such a fan. That's amazing.
I love Hogsmeade. And getting rid of Dragon Challenge made sense, and putting Hagrid's in just fleshes out that land so much more. And as Chris said there...
Plus, how cool is Hagrid, right?
Exactly.
Hagrid never gets anything.
Yes.
So they made up a story that doesn't even have a movie.
Yes.
There's parts of Hagrid's that if you don't go there, you'll never know.
Yeah.
It's not in the story, and it's not in the movies. It's just like they kind of put together a story, but J.K. Rowling had a big... Like, she said yes or no to every part of that. So it was fully commissioned by her to give the students a place to hang out when they weren't in Hogwarts, like the caves underneath. And so Hagrid having his own forest for them to kind of go into the old, ruins of the old castle that he had now makeshift turned into this incubator for these strange and wild creatures that he was like growing. It's just fantastic, man. And they walk you through it. Like if you pay attention, each part of it is really important. And then the ride's amazing. We really had a lot of fun doing it. It wasn't easy. Go ahead, Michelle,
did your team paint all of those sketches of the creatures that are in that one room where you have all of the little creatures in the jars and things like that? Was that your team?
So what we did was we had this girl named Dasha who was from Russia, and she went to the prop team to make like the eggs and the actual things. Then she'd bring them to us, and we would have to paint them to fit them into the scene. But we'd have to paint the shelves, the walls, the hangers. We had to carve it all, carve every stone, every rock, every window. Like we put the leading on the windows. If you go through Hagrid's, I think it's Q8. Actually.
The big long corridor.
It's like this long hallway with windows in it, and it has the eggs on one wall. So I guess I don't know what they call that, but then the other wall has windows. Well, those windows on the other side of them is a wall. It's Florida. You have to get ready for hurricanes. But you don't know that. We had to open those windows up and put in these lights back there behind them that had a movie screen of clouds going by.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you. Then we got clear plexiglass and had to get the right, and I'm not going to say it, but we had to get the right materials together to make it frosted and old. And then we had to make it dirty. And then we had to put the old lead, because before windows actually had lead between, like you saw a stained glass window. That wasn't just back then when this castle was there, they used lead. So we had to find adhesive lead and with rulers. And so I'm serious, we measured out and put like 4-inch diamonds until the whole thing was done. It took like a week of like 8 artists working on this to get it done. And you'll just walk right by and just think it's windows. But it's not, because if you look above your head, there's the outlets where you can see the sky again. Again, it's just a movie of the sky.
That's crazy because
that's awesome.
Literally, I was in the line on the day that ride opened.
Right.
I waited for 8 hours to ride that ride.
I love you for that.
And I did it twice. I did it the next day too.
Yeah.
Good for you. See, you're real. See, that's real. That's dedicated to something and sticking it out till it happens.
Listen. So I was stuck in the room before that room that you're talking about, right? I was stuck. It's kind of cave-like. I was stuck in there for a good long while. And when we got to that room with the eggs, I was like, oh, finally, sunlight. Now you're telling me.
It's totally not sunlight. It's all made up. So we had to put the movie screen behind first, then carve out the window, then put the hidden hitch because those windows, eventually you have to get in there and clean that stuff. So it's not really outside. So you go and you lift it up. It takes 2 guys to lift it up, and then another guy has to hold it while you move it all the way over to get inside. It's so intricate and detailed. And then we covered that with vines, so you'd never know.
You did such a good job. I swear my body got vitamin D from that. Not even kidding.
That's really awesome. Sweet. So Q7 before that has the tree that comes through the window, and it has a big fireplace, and you can see all the little fire geckos' feet prints all over. Like we did all of that. But it is dark. It's after the show where you see Hagrid and the bike and they talk about it. So there's like that, 4-minute show there that separates the pace of the queue. But if you went on the first day and it was packed,
we would move maybe 5 feet and then like 15
That's
minutes
frustrating.
Later, 5 feet.
Now you know why. Now you know why J.K. Rowling cares about the detail, Michelle.
Yes.
Because if you're only moving 5 feet in a half hour, somehow we're going to hide things from you. So if you're standing there, you're finding them.
Yeah.
And there's little, like, I had people hiding Mickeys in Universal and putting lightning bolts for Harry Potter in Disney just to hide something.
That is awesome.
I'm not kidding you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wait,
that is so cool.
There's lightning bolts in Disney?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Love it.
Mind blown.
I love it.
I'm not going to say any names. I'm not going to tell you what. But that was the thing. Once you're an Imagineer and then you work for the art direction of Universal, you do the same work at both parks. And you love it. Where you start to develop teams and you all start to kind of mess around. Yeah. The lightning bolt and the hidden Mickey are the nicest things that were put up. I played no part. I played no part in the other things. I wouldn't do it. I'm a truist, a realist. I love Walt. I love Universal. I love the spirit of it.
That's awesome.
Lightning bolt, I love. That's magic.
Yeah.
A little hidden Mickey,
for that.
absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, like full on, like really stuff that shouldn't be where it is.
Okay.
But if it's not my job, I just kind of say,
That's
as long
hilarious.
as nobody sees it, as long as no guests see it.
Yeah, exactly.
So just something that's just sprung to mind. When you're speaking about the spirit of things there, it just something I wanted to mention that I appreciated reading about was how when you've got your students and you're teaching them and guiding them, one of the things you teach them is to do what you're doing, and when they're big artists with great careers, to take someone who's up and coming and open doors for them. And I just wanted to say that
pay it forward.
Yeah, pay it forward. I appreciate that so much.
Awesome.
And that's
right, because someone helped me.
Exactly.
A little here, a little there, and I got to great heights. So what do you do when you get there? You turn around, you reach down, you help somebody else with the promise that they will then help someone else. So what happens? I go off and live another 10 years or whatever. I get hit by a milk truck and I'm dead. And now those girls are passing the magic on to the next generation of artists with the same promise. And in this way, we're creating more people that believe and feel for it. Thank you for pointing that out, because I thought that got lost on a lot of people, but you're very astute to pick that out, because that is the spirit of it. Exactly.
Our daughter's currently in art school, and I hope somebody does that for her at some point. Yeah,
What year is she in?
She's just about to go into a second year. Over here, it's before university age. So
how much schooling would she have before she was ready to work for Universal?
Well,
I keep trying to push her in that direction.
About 4 to 5 years.
I'm not kidding you. I'm asking you a serious question.
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5
Depending on what she does at university.
You're going to stay friends with me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And in about 4 years, you're going to contact me and say, where are we at? Well, I got to tell you the truth. Right now, Universal is on the edge of the next 10 to 15 years of brand new high technology park building. Yep. We have Epic Universal going up. Plus, that's not enough. They have to refurb all the other ones.
Exactly.
But Epic Universal is going to be 3 parks. Imagine having like Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and the Magic Kingdom. Universal's going to have that with Epic. And so there's so much work coming up. I know it might be tough to get over here. But if she wanted to, she wanted to do it.
Oh no, she'll get over it.
She'll get over it.
Yeah, that's the only thing. And like right now, our borders are wide open. Come on in. Sorry, I'm not trying to get political.
Now.
No, I know. I'm in Texas. I'm in Texas watching people walk by my house. Saying "Welcome to America." I mean. So why they give you guys such a hard time, I don't really get it. But if she's interested in art, she might want to be a dressmaker. I don't know. But there's a spot for everybody that's creative in these places.
She is.
And with you two being theme park like aficionados, she must be as well.
She's about the details as well.
We're
like
definitely
we are.
trying to instill that into her.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. That's the magic. So once she gets the bug, and she probably has the bug now, she can start to see how it's done. All it takes is a little tutoring.
Yeah.
Hey, instead of going at it all at once, take your time, take a deep breath, and kind of sneak up on it first with this color. Walk away, go have a banana, come on back. Now watch the other color. And you do that for someone, lights go on in their head. They're like, oh, I get this. And step by step, technique by technique, we can show her through it in each situation using reference from Google all the time. Like in Disney, when we want to draw a lion, we don't make it up. We go get a lion.
Yeah.
And then the trainer has him and he sits there and we'll sketch it. Like you don't, there's no skimping for hard work. Hard work is the shortcut. Yeah. So if she wants to know what like flowers of a certain type that grow on a certain mountain in Italy are, then you have to look that up.
Yeah.
You don't guess. Yeah. There's no guesswork because somebody from Italy is going to come and say, that is not our state flower.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So you have to think of everything. And what I tell them is two things. One, water is your best friend. It helps you move your paint. It does. It helps clean up. It helps you when you're hot. Water is your best friend. That's the first thing I tell them. And the second thing I tell them is that Mother Nature doesn't care. So once you make something how pretty you think it is, you have to go back and look what Mother Nature would have done to it after 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. And then you paint. So you almost paint it twice. You paint it once to make it and then once to age it or theme it. And in that process, like you might have the most beautiful bricks, but if I tell you that there has to be rust that has to run down them because above it there's a rain gutter that's in distress and it caused years of rust, guess what? We're running rust right down in front of your beautiful bricks. If you don't like it, you can take off your helmet and go home. This is what happens. Mother Nature doesn't care. Then you do it for them and they step back and they're like, oh, you're right. It was just kind of a plain wall, but now it has a story. Yeah. We're like, exactly. Put your helmet back on and get back to work. Yeah. So that's how it is with the team. And that's kind of the two things I tell them. What is your best friend? And Mother Nature doesn't care. Yeah. With those two things in mind, the water being your best friend helps them have courage to go and paint things because it's just latex. They can wash it off with water. It's only paint. Yeah.
I think we need Mr. Timmy to join us at the Weekender and do an art class.
That would be cool.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. I would love to.
That would be awesome.
You guys are super cool. Like we get a lot of podcasts, me and Catherine, and everybody loves this book. Like I'm not saying the whole book, but there's a chapter. I'm getting people saying, oh, this chapter touched my life, or that chapter I was right there with you, or this chapter I couldn't put it down. That was the point. Somewhere along my path, I had to face some real adversity and I had to get through it. And I did it with God and I did it with prayer and I did it with hard work. And I think there's other people that might be going through a divorce as horrible as mine was, or losing a career, or fighting for a career, or losing a dog, or thinking about committing suicide. Like it gets really dark parts of the book. Yeah. But then I came through it. And that is where other people just need to know that it can be done. Yeah. Not that they could do it the same way, but that it is possible. And if people know something's possible, I know the human spirit. I've seen us build things that were impossible to build, and now there's hundreds of thousands of people riding them. I never thought you could drop a roller coaster, a 40-foot drop, and then go another direction backwards. You know, at Hagrid's, there's no end to that ride. It's amazing. There's so many cool stuff. Yeah.
Speaking of your book, Timmy, while you're talking about it, it's incredible, by the way. And
that's Catherine now. Yeah, Catherine did it great.
So well written.
Loved it. But what inspired you to have it written, I should say, since Catherine did the writing?
That's a great question. Remember when I was talking earlier about how like I'm right next to the octopus in Popeye, or I'm right next to the squirrels at Popeye again, or I'm deep, like I'm putting owl poop in Diagon Alley. There's moments in your life where you're like, man, this is weird. This is so strange. Yeah. It's not like I don't go to the office and sit at my desk and look at the same wall or look at my cubicle or have a secretary. It's not like that. Every day it's something new and exciting. Yeah. So you get enough of those moments, Michelle, where you're like, wow, this would be really cool if other people could see this or experience this. So I started to just keep track of it after a while. Plus, I had the Spirit of Disney Award 3 times, 60 guest service fanatic card. I mean, 68 of one and 70 of the other. I was in the Eyes and Ears. I was in the Main Street Diary 5 times. So before I even went back to get into Imagineering and get to Universal, I was in animation, working with the Imagineers in the entertainment department, putting on that great show, the Animation Academy that they used to have, winning awards like crazy. It was just stupid. So I thought that that's what magic was. When I came back, all that was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I got fired for the first time in my life from a Disney hotel, the Animal Kingdom. If you read, you'll see. It's the Blossom story. Great story. When you get to that chapter, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
I would do it all over again, too. But they were right. I was way overqualified, but I just wanted to get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
But to get where I wanted to go, there was no path from busing hotel rooms in Animal Kingdom to Imagineering. I had to leave and go do Diagon Alley, which could prove to Florida that Timmy can also paint. He can't just draw the characters. He's a fine artist. He's a Renaissance guy. So then when I did enough things, I got the phone call for Frozen, and I was back in Disney. That's when I was on track to get my Imagineering helmet. Yeah. Then I went back to do Hagrid's afterwards with all the knowledge. So if Hagrid's is a little extra special, that's why. Because it took my whole career to get to a place where I could teach other people to put exactly what J.K. Rowling wanted. On Diagon Alley, I was one of many. At Hagrid's, it was my team that I was training. We put 6 months in the laydown yard practicing, building like examples. We call them samples. We just call them samples for Universal to come see. And they say, oh, we like this wall. We hate that wall. We like this wall. But they're only little samples. But you have to put them together, build them, put the concrete on them, carve them, paint them, and then get them ready. So Universal come out with a couple of references and say, make something like this and something like that. And our team, so for 6 months, these girls were practicing, getting it ready. Then when the show came and we got to go out and build it for real, they were just old hands at making stones or rocks or wood, or making wood look like stone or stone look like wood. Like whatever it was, we had to, make plastic look like metal. There's tricks to all that. And they had 6 months to learn it, and man, they did, but they never did a mural. Universal came to us and asked us to do the mural around the whole building.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if you ever get to see it, but have ever you been backstage to walk around that building?
Unfortunately not. No, I'd really like to, but
oh my God. Oh, if you could see, there's a part of it that you can't see from the ride because you're going backwards. That's where we started the mural. And that's the part where the birds are flying into the wall because they put real trees. And then we painted the trees to match on the wall. Yeah. And so the birds were going crazy. And bam, they were running into the wall. So we had to put up nets for them.
Yes.
So it didn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
But that part of the wall, then it turns and goes down all this other part where you do see part of it going backwards. Beautiful. But these girls never did that before. This is 60, 70 feet in the air and 17,800 square feet with a roller coaster whipping by only 10 yards away. So they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, we're going to go up. And they gave us 6 weeks. I told them we could do it in 5. Maybe you could get it done in 4. It's like, Timmy, we never painted a mural before. Like, you're going to learn now. So we had this secret wall. No, this is the truth. We had this secret wall back behind it where I said, okay, so show me what you think a tree is. And they all showed me. And then I showed them what I think a tree is. And they said, that doesn't look that great. And I said, yeah, now come with me. And I took them back 100 yards. They had blobs on the wall. Mine was a tree.
Yeah.
A real tree. So they said, well, where do you learn that? I said, Bob Ross.
Yeah. I was going to say, happy big trees.
Figure out your shape. And you put happy trees everywhere.
Yeah.
And then they started moving. Said 1 week, now we get around that one wall. But now we have a wall 4 times bigger than that. And we only have 4 weeks left. Well, 3 weeks in my mind. And it's raining. And they have to shut it down for the track. So, but they got better and better and faster. And we had a system. You go in and lay in the sky. You go behind and throw in the clouds. You go in and lay in the back of the furthest trees. And you're going to use this color. It won't show up at first, but when we bring the other colors forward, you'll watch. Yeah. And from backward to front, we did it in 4 weeks. We did it 2 weeks early in the rain. I'm telling you, there was a couple of days where we didn't get to start till 10 o'clock or we got kicked off at noon. And these girls and a couple guys just became like scaffolding monkeys, man. They're climbing up and they're kicking its butt. It was so great. So between the queue line, Hagrid's hut, and the mural, these girls who had never done this before were becoming seasoned pros in all forms of art, decals, murals, everything. Like they really fantastic. Got a great taste of it all.
And from a guest's point of view, they absolutely knocked it out of the park. Yeah. They really did. Yeah.
Well, they did it in California and they hated it. So they made them do it again. They did it again, and they said, okay, we spent the money to do it twice. We're going to have it. And then they saw ours.
Yeah.
And they were so mad that they didn't ask us to go out and do it first. But we were East Coast. We weren't going to go all the way out there. Now, that isn't true. Once the pandemic hit, artists started going back and forth to California, Japan, all over the place. Me, I'm more of a kind of an East Coast guy. I love Walt Disney World. Yeah. The book is all about the fact that the park opened on my birthday, and I was there.
That's awesome.
Like, and then to see all that happen and then go home and start drawing And then to never think I would become an animation artist.
Yeah.
So I dream up this like idea of how maybe I could get hired. And I went down with my kids and my dogs and my wife. I didn't even have a place to live. And I went in there and I put on this. Now I had a month to prepare. So I knew what I was going to say when I got there, but I didn't know how they were going to react. But they loved it. And it was so great. Oh, that's one of the greatest moments coming back out of casting with my wife and my kids. Well, I'm like, they said I could start Tuesday, and that was it. They just freaked out like these little kids. It's really great. So the book has a lot of those great moments, and we didn't talk much about the book. Yeah. In fact, I kind of took over this whole podcast.
That's fine. Hey, you're the guest, but unfortunately, we are going to have to wrap it up there. It's been awesome to talk to you. Genuinely, I've had so much fun.
Maybe we could do it again sometime.
We can definitely
back. We love it because we get entertained for a change.
Oh yeah, we can just sit here. Like I said before, we can just listen to all these behind the scene details. I mean, I learned that a rock has 7 different colors. I mean, it's awesome.
Yo, his voice, Christopher, your voice. How about if we turn it over to Catherine and let her say about the book? Because I feel like I just kept
Catherine, before we wrap up, why don't you let everybody know where they can buy Timmy's book from?
Okay, the book Extraordinary Everyday Magic is available on Amazon, and the subtitle is An Artist's Journey to Imagineering and Beyond. And we've got it on Amazon, and if you write to us through our website, through the Contact Us page, then we can send you an autographed self-adhesive book plate that you can put in there.
It is so well written. It is.
The book is doing great, too, by the way. I'm really, I should have talked more about it, but I'm really confident about it because
it's so good.
I didn't write it. She wrote it, right?
It is so
many of the stories that Timmy told her in the book, but there's so many more. There's about 43 chapters plus a few beginning and before and after. And all these stories are in there, plus some that you just won't even believe.
Yeah. And what's nice is that they're
so magical.
They're chapters. You can just kind of jump around a bit, too.
Yeah. It's chronological, but if you want to skip around the things, like I said, there's one chapter for everybody. My favorite chapter of the whole book is in plain English. I got to talk to God. That really happened. I swear on that chapter. So for me, that's my favorite chapter. Because I asked him for something and he answered me, man, in big red letters. So I'm never going to deny it again. And that's the truth. I'm not saying which God or anything like that. I'm just saying that I talked to God and he said, here's your answer. And everything that he said worked when it shouldn't have. So I just want to say in plain English is my favorite chapter. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Amazing.
Well, before we wrap up, we do actually, Catherine and Timmy were very kind to give us a copy to give away.
They were.
So we're not going to make it that easy, though. We have got a question. So Michelle, will you let everyone know the question that they have to answer to win a copy of the book?
It's a hard one. Okay.
Oh, boy.
In what year did Diagon Alley open at Universal Studios Florida?
Oh, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
And of course, you can send those answers to us at podcast@uuopodcast.com, and we'll give you until midnight on September 25th. We'll choose a winner at random from the correct answers, and we will announce it on episode 474. And that's it.
Amazing.
We've really enjoyed it.
This was amazing.
Thank you.
Can I say my 3 words?
Hold your horses. We're getting there. We're getting there.
I love you guys.
I'm excited to hear it.
Me too.
I know.
So that is it for episode 471. It's been awesome. It really has. I have enjoyed this. So the 2 book episodes we've done recently, Mike for the Mummy book and then Timmy tonight, it's been so much fun.
We've been fed.
It has.
It's been really good. But of course, we're going to end with a Universal Is. And we have asked Timmy to do it, and apparently he's been chewing away at it all day and is desperate. He's desperate to tell us what it is. But first, I have to invite our listeners to get involved. So if you want to get involved to help us wrap up the show, all you've got to do is let us know what you think Universal is in 3 words or less, and you can send them by email, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you know they're doing by now. Owl. Yeah, perfect one. But for
Watch out for the poop.
Oh, that's funny.
But for this week, really Timmy, it is over to you.
Universal Studios is pure, unstoppable, cool. That's
awesome.
That's so good.
Yes.
Pure, unstoppable, cool. Because Disney has the magic in some parts, but Universal just has that cool thing, man.
Yes, it does.
You can go from one thing to the next, and it's unstoppable. It's like everywhere. It's so much, and it's very pure. So the 3 words I would pick would be pure, unstoppable, cool. Catherine, what do you have for 3 words?
Oh, I would just say Universal is living the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty clever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I like
Cool.
it.
Very good.
Thanks, you guys. And we will see you, everyone, next week.
Guess that wraps things up for another Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. You guys did all right. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest, keyword UUO Podcast. Listen and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere podcasts are found. You can find our blog at uuopodcast.com. Send us your spews, which Lou gets your poo recordings, questions, or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com. Check out our friends, the Theme Park Duo, and our awesome sponsors, Mouse and Muggle Travel Company. So, until next time, don't give up your day job. Say cheese. See you later.